What up y'all, and welcome back to my channel here at Gallivants and Rants. Today's video is going to be about the beginning of my spiritual journey. Now, the true roots of my spiritual journey were probably either preconception or while I was in the womb. A lot of these aspects have been occurring throughout my entire life. Even when I first started this channel 2 years ago, in the banner I put a journey of radical education, and honestly I don't think that I've been living up to that just yet. But it is kind of nice to see the foresight that I had 2 years ago, before I even started the channel, or when I was just starting the channel, and kind of walking into that now. For this particular video and this particular chapter of my life, I will just be dealing with incidents that happened during and after my travels starting last year. I will be getting personal, and I will be getting personal right from the jump. So mom and dad, or anyone else that doesn't care to hear about the personal aspects of my life, now is the perfect time to either hit the pause button or the X button and move on with your life. It wasn't until I hooked up with a man that crossed my path while I was traveling last year that I started to really realize what effects can happen from sex. And it wasn't until I started waking up the next morning or the morning after and subsequent mornings after for up to, I think it was like 2 to 3 months afterwards actually, with these knots in my stomach and just feeling a lot of anxiety and a lot of pain and chaos and confusion and suffering. And I knew these weren't emotions that I was carrying on, and I really didn't understand it at first. But then I came upon this post on Instagram, and it's called the battery effect. And the battery effect can transmute emotional trauma, unlock information within your DNA, align you with your higher self, and bring pleasure. Instead of feeling drained afterwards, you glow, feeling replenished on a spiritual, physical, and mental level. Now, this wasn't exactly what I was experiencing. In fact, it was quite the opposite. But from the photo in the post, I started to really realize that this is what I was experiencing, that there was some type of exchange that had occurred. And I started to see things about people being empaths, and I had heard the word before, but I didn't know what an empath was. And I learned that an empath can actually take on the emotions of someone, whether it be through having sex with them or just having a really strong, intimate, or close connection with a person. You can actually take on all of their trauma, all of their emotions. It can even be happiness, it can be joy, it can be the whole spectrum of emotions. And I remember being at my parents' house one day and just being on the floor crying, ugly crying so hard that I couldn't breathe, and feeling just an intense amount of emotional trauma. And I knew it had come from the person that I had hooked up with here in Belize during my travels last year. And because at that point him and I had cut our connection with each other, as far as speaking, we weren't really on speaking terms anymore. I decided look, I don't want to deal with this emotion and this trauma anymore. I don't want to deal with these this pain. When I came back to the States, it wasn't because I wanted to. It was solely because the money had run out and I didn't have another option. So from the jump, when I got back to the United States, the plan was find a job, start to save, get back to Belize. And I had fallen in love with this country and its people and its culture, and I knew I wanted to be back here. And at that particular time, when I first got back, it also had to do with this man as well. I definitely wanted to return to see if things could work out between us. Like I said in my previous video, I have so much love for the state of Florida. It's my home state, but I knew I didn't want to be there. So I had found a ticket for $55, one-way, non-stop flight from Orlando to LAX, and I took it. And I didn't know how LA was going to treat me, because when I was there previously in 2012, there had been a lot of heartache and pain, and also having to do with a man. And I didn't know if that's where I wanted to be, but when I got the ticket and everything started to fall in place, it just felt right. And I'm so glad that I did it, because Los Angeles this time around has brought me so much healing, so much joy. And as I started saving, I knew that I wanted to start my journey again here in Belize. And I didn't know how long I was going to be gone. It all depended on how much money I had. I really was just at that point saving as much as I could and going to come here to Belize. Starting in March, I started writing a lot based on the recommendation of one of my roommates, Maya Rita, and I started writing 3 morning pages every day. It really helped clear my mind. Starting in June, sometime in June, I started running / walking for 2 miles. So 3 to 4 mornings out of the week, I would get up really early and go running / walking for 2 miles. And between that and the writing, it just really allowed me to have a clear mind and a lot of peace. Also, shout out to my THC pen. I don't know where I would be without you. You have helped a lot with this healing. I am very much an advocate for marijuana and THC and CBD and all of the things, because I believe they bring so much and they open up our mind. Fast forward until just about a little over a month ago, and another man crossed paths with me in this journey of life, and I tried to pretend like I wasn't interested at first, because there were certain aspects that I wasn't sure about, but I couldn't get this person off my mind. They were constantly there, so I decided to take a leap of faith and go for it. We had known each other for several months at this point, but we had never hung out before. So the first time that we hung out, we ended up having sex, and we would continue on for a couple of weeks. So I began to feel the same thing as I felt last year. I would wake up 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning, just a lot of knots in my stomach, just complete anxiety. I'd have to lay my hands on my stomach and talk myself down. I would envision that I was actually saying these things to this person that I had been in a relationship with, and after a few minutes everything would subside and I would be able to go back to sleep. But then whenever I would wake up again in the mornings, I would feel just confusion and a lot of chaos, just emotions all over the place. And once again, I knew it wasn't me that was experiencing all of these things. So about a week after I started feeling these things again, I hadn't actually mentioned them to him, but he said that he wanted to kind of take a step back and go a lot slower. And he said he was a warrior, that he was ready for the war. And he spoke about energy. He was the first one to bring up energy. And that just made me even more intrigued by him, because I thought that this could possibly be a person that I could really learn a lot from, learn a little bit more about energy, see what he knew, what his knowledge and wisdom were on the subject. And besides this, there were other complications that are very personal that I'm not actually going to be sharing, but one of them was this trip that was looming in the distance. He kept asking me over and over again when I was coming back, and at the time I had no idea. I didn't even know what I was coming down here for. I just knew my plane ticket and the hostel for the first week were already booked, and between him and having to leave my best friend in LA, I started to really question whether or not I even wanted to take this trip, whether or not I even wanted to come here. I did a lot of praying and a lot of meditating on it, and I realized that this was definitely something that I needed to do. So I have really been drawn to the Instagram account I Am the Beard God. In it, he literally posts thousands of memes and photographs all about spirituality, and I made a list of the things that I've been learning about, because I knew I wouldn't be able to remember them all. So learning about energy and energy exchange, the importance of self-love, vibrations, training my mind to not allow the actions of others to affect my mood, and only to observe how it makes me feel. I've learned more about what it means to be an empath and realized that I'm not alone in absorbing others' energy and knowing how they feel and when they're lying. I've learned about twin flames, the universe, and being a healer, as well as synchronicity and manifestation. So through this Instagram account, as well as 2 books, one called The Mindful 20-something. Now, I am 34, but this has actually been very helpful. This book right here, called The Mindful 20-something by Holly B. Rogers. And my friend Janet let me borrow that. Actually, she's probably going to be upset because I really wasn't supposed to bring it with me, but here we are. As well as The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, which was a book that was gifted to me by my best friend in LA, Mayarita, right before I left. So between these 2 books and this Instagram account, as well as things that have just been happening in my everyday life, there have been a lot of synchronicities, specifically revolving around meditation, mindfulness, controlling my emotions, observing my thoughts, the law of positivism. I have a problem with that word. Acceptance and creativity. So this video is not going to be diving into any of those topics, but I will be sharing weekly what I have learned and what I have experienced thus far. I will be here in Belize for the next 2 months for both September and October. I'm not really sure where this journey is going to go, but I know there's going to be a lot more healing, a lot of things that I'm going to write about and release. And when I get back to Los Angeles, I'm going to be on such a higher level than I was when I left. I don't want to say I'm not going to be the same person, which I almost did, and I've been saying, oh, I'm going to be a different person. No, I'm not going to be a different person. I'm going to be the same person, but I'm going to have learned a lot more, and I'm going to have leveled up. And there's going to be a lot more challenges, but I will understand how to handle them, and I can focus on helping to hold space for people while they heal themselves, to let them know that they are loved and cared for, and that the universe has sent me to them to give them a message. And I don't connect with everybody. It's not every single person I come across that I have this connection with. It is very limited, but I didn't really understand it before, and I'm really starting to come into understanding more about what my purpose is here walking this earth, and that I have been sent here to raise the level of consciousness of the world, or help, not doing it solely. There are plenty of other people out there that are just like me. The spiritual journey will never be over, but it is nice to utilize this space and this time that I have to really dive deep into some of the traumas that I've had. I've already started working with some of the traumas that I know I have, and some have already come up to the surface that I didn't even know existed, and that's just from the first week of doing The Artist's Way. So that is another, I will keep you updated on the things that I do with that book, because it is meant to help unblock your creativity and to have you focus more on how you want to be creative and which direction, which path to choose, basically. It doesn't tell you in the book, obviously, but through the tasks and the 3 morning pages every morning, and the artist date that you're supposed to take yourself on once a week, through all of these things, it's supposed to really open things up for you and give you more of a perspective of which direction that you should be going in. And I'm really excited for that, because I've been having a huge issue with focus and wanting to be more creative. And I will say that one of the things that came to the surface that I was not aware of is the lack of adults and people who told me that my art and my creativity was good. Now, my parents would say that they liked something, and And I'm sure there's other people that might have said they liked it as well, but not a single person stood out to me as having told me that my art mattered, that my creativity mattered, that I should continue pursuing creativity and art. And that really, like, I cried about that, y'all. Not a single adult in my entire life growing up that stuck out to me. I'm not saying it didn't happen, it wasn't memorable enough, and it didn't happen enough times for me to say, oh yeah, I had plenty of people, you know, encourage me and all this kind of stuff. And also, one of the things that I did know existed was poverty, and my parents not having enough money, and I know it killed them inside, and I didn't know it growing up. All I knew was that I wanted to do these things, and for whatever reason I wasn't able to do them, and I didn't understand why. And that shit hurts. There were no community centers near me. I lived in a retirement neighborhood when I was growing up, and there were a lot of good things about my life growing up. A lot. But it's not fair to kids that they don't have these opportunities to grow. That they have all these dreams and these hopes and these things that they want to do, but their parents don't make enough money under this fucking capitalist system to be able to put them in a place where they can nurture their creativity and the things that they want to do. I just don't want to see kids go through that anymore. I don't want them to go through what I've been through. And then also not having any guidance whatsoever by anyone in high school. No teachers, no professors, you know, like maybe they would have been there if I would have known the questions to ask, but I had no idea what questions to ask. So I kind of just got shoved in the way of college. And I had no idea what I was doing, and I'm so lost. I'm thankfully at 34 years old gaining a little bit more clarity, but it would have been really nice to have a lot more guidance than I had, and a lot more people caring about the creativity of students instead of just pushing them all through school like sheep, doing the exact same activities the exact same way in the exact same manner. I'll rant on that at some point. These can be my rants. I didn't know what my rants were gonna be if I was gonna be talking about all of this spiritual stuff, but yeah, I can rant about things. There are things that I can rant about. I would love to build more of a community with healers and people who are experiencing their own spiritual journeys. Please, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Also, if you're going on your own spiritual journey, or if you've already began, let me know about that too. I'm really intrigued. Like, what have you learned? What let's help each other. Let's grow with each other, and let's create a higher consciousness in this world. All of my healers and all of my empaths and every one of us, I just want to say that I love you, and I know this journey is hard, but for those of us who've said we're ready, we're warriors, we're ready for the war, here we are. Use us. I see you. I cherish you, and I love you, and let's build together and bring more healing to this world, because that's what this world needs right now. A lot of healing, because there's been a lot of trauma. So until the next video, I will leave you with revolutionary love.